The following is a presentation of the NABL.
Welcome to tonight's game. This one's going to be good. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls.
We're underway here in Dallas, Texas. LaShawn Murphy right up.
Here he goes.
He rolls it in.
You know what game is? That's when you play.
He's going to take it all the way. Oh, my goodness gracious.
That is going to be out of bounds. Go! Great save.
Oh, my goodness.
We feel like we can go out and dominate.
Lands it home and closes it out with authority.
That's game. That's game.
Welcome. That is NABL basketball.
A quarter of the NABL second season here in 2017. Yeah, it's in the books. And while some teams have firmly planted their size 15s down, it's a big shoe, to claim their stake to be one of the league's powerhouses, others have just been planted in the dirt, hoping to dig their way back in. They still have time, but welcome one and all. And most importantly, welcome to you on this Week 5 edition of the BackCourt here on the NABL Network. I'm your host, Ken Buckner, and this week on the BackCourt, we got a big one. It's always big. It's the BackCourt. Well, of course, we're going to dive into all of last week's action and how it just totally rearranged all of the chess pieces in the standings and the NABL playoff picture. We're going to catch up with our trio of NABL players of the week. That's right. There are 3 of them. We'll travel to Southern Illinois, we'll go to the Deep South, and we'll go all the way to the Great White North. Plus, of course, we have your predictions, breaking news, and a look ahead at the big Week 6 on the way in the NABL. So, how about this? Without further introduction, I say that at the end of my introduction. It's time here on the BackCourt to look back at the week that was in the NABL.
Rewind, review, NABL weekly recap.
Well, Week 5 wasn't just huge in the NABL. It was an event weekend in the North American Basketball League with the first ever NABL Midwest Showcase, featuring 2 days of NABL action right there in the heartland of the U.S. The Southern Illinois Pharaohs, they not only played a pair of games over the weekend in this showcase, but they played host to visiting NABL teams out of both the East and the Western conferences. And it proved to bring all of the drama and the pageantry that an event like this truly deserves. Now, Saturday, it all kicked off with the marquee matchup of the weekend. Right off the bat, an interconference meeting between the Pharaohs and the Western Conference powerhouse, the Dallas Hoyas. Now, this is a game that will not affect the conference standings, but honestly, anytime the NABL East can meet up with the West, it's always something special. And really, here on the BackCourt, that's what we like to do. We like to bring people and things together. Yeah. Cute kitten. But the bigger storylines here between the Hoyas and the Pharaohs, first of all, family ties. Now, the owner of the Southern Illinois Pharaohs is going to pull back the curtain a little bit for you on the BackCourt. Yes, it's an exclusive. The owner of the Pharaohs, basketball star and entrepreneur Justin Dentman. Now, he just happens, isn't it funny, to be the brother of 2016 NABL MVP, the Dallas Hoyas point guard Bruce Barron. How about that? And Barron, a Carbondale, Illinois native, well, he was coming home to take on his older bro's team. Now, don't think that this sibling rivalry didn't add a little extra pepper on this scene, okay? Because while the Hoyas were just hoping to bounce back from their first Western Conference loss of the year, that to the expansion Alamo City Aztecs, they were also hoping to not fall to yet another NABL expansion team, back to back. And add to that, you have the Pharaohs, who had been on a hot streak since they joined the NABL, undefeated no less at this point. Well, okay, so is it going to be the bite of the Hoyas, or will a sandstorm of the Southern Illinois Pharaohs prevail? Well, I'm glad you asked. Just as it turned out, the Big Brothers team took down Little Brothers team. Yeah. The Pharaohs defend their home court, and they totally ruin Bruce Barron's homecoming, defeating the Hoyas 90-74. For Southern Illinois' Devin Balkman, you're talking a 6-foot guard, 6'4" guard, actually, that scored 20 or more points in almost every game so far this season for the Pharaohs. Well, he did it again. He dropped 23 on this one against the Hoyas, plus added to it 7 rebounds, all against Western Conference champions from last season. Forwards for the Pharaohs, Chris Bryant had 17 points, Vernon Lewis 14 points, and then you add to that starting point guard Raheem Dickerson, who had 16. You talk about a Pharaohs attack. Well, it's time now to head to Carbondale, Illinois, the home of the Southern Illinois Pharaohs, and for the very first time, we get the insight and get to welcome on head coach of the Pharaohs. Welcome to the BackCourt, Coach Mallory.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Jeff Mallory here, obviously first-year coach for the first-year Southern Illinois Pharaohs. And let's just jump right in. I mean, congratulations on your huge start, not just as an NABL expansion team, but in your first year as a franchise overall. Undefeated to begin 2017. You're 4-0 at this point. Your thoughts right now and the Pharaohs stamp within the NABL to kick things off?
I'm real proud of what we've accomplished so far. As a coach, you always expect more, but I'm pretty excited about a lot of things that we're doing and what we're accomplishing at this moment. And it's been very rewarding not only for our team and our organization, but the community, because they've been very, very supportive.
Well, let's talk about that team. I mean, you've torn through the competition so far. You have plenty, I mean, as an expansion team, a first-year team, but you have plenty of top-tier talent at your disposal. And you have a very deep rotation off your bench, too. A lot of tools, Coach Mallory, you get to play with. Talk about your Pharaohs already becoming one of the NABL powers.
Well, I don't want to be labeled that yet, but I do know we're hopefully making some noise here. I think one thing about our team is the fact that we have a lot of guys who buy in to what we're trying to accomplish. We always tell them to lock in what we're doing. We've got a good group of guys that really play off of one another, and sometimes it's not one, it's not two, it's sometimes the whole entire team. And it doesn't matter who gets the minutes or so forth, but it's all about making sure we keep that family environment and really working with one another. And I think that's what really helped us accomplish what we have to this point.
Yeah, you talk about, it's not just one or two. I mean, Vernon Lewis, Raheem Dickerson, and Devin Balkman, who was our player of the week for this week, number 5. Talk about Devin's contribution, because we're going to have him on just a little bit later here on the BackCourt.
Yes, Devin he's a good person. He's special. I actually knew about him back when he played at the University of Tennessee. I knew when I found out about him coming to the team, I knew what he was bringing to the table. Definitely a good shooter. Also a guy who gives you a presence as well as get to the basket. Obviously a great finisher when it comes to putting the ball in the basket. He's very special. He's obviously our leading scorer. He keeps things on and off the court. When I say off the court, he's obviously our team clown. He knows I tell him that, and he keeps things rolling. And but when it comes down to business, he knows. And I tell you what, I'm tough on the guys, but they understand me. They understand me. I think that's why we have a pretty good relationship.
Yeah, Devin Balkman averaging 20 points a game throughout the season. So having a great first quarter of this NABL season number 2. Last week, Southern Illinois hosted the first ever NABL Midwestern Showcase. Before we get into the games and what happened, and a lot happened in those games too, talk about the Pharaohs' interest, your interest, and your owner's Justin Dentman's interest in throwing this showcase and inviting teams from both conferences and all over to be a part of this in Carbondale.
Well, I think when you do start talking about the Pharaohs, Southern Illinois Pharaohs, you just talk about Justin Dentman. Justin has really put a trademark on what he wants to accomplish as an organization. Of course, Justin did play overseas, and he's a good role model for what our guys want to accomplish down the road here. As far as the showcase, I think he did an excellent job with it, and obviously he wanted to put the best talent together from teams, different teams obviously in there, and obviously these different teams had good talent, so we were trying to put the best possible teams in it that was available and to enjoy a good weekend of basketball. And like I tell him too, and he knows this, and I think our general manager as well, Aaron Lee knows this, that we're trying to put the best array of talent in one area for a weekend where we can get even like agents to come in and look at some of these players as well, not just us, but also other players.
Well, let's talk about what that went down during the showcase. Your team had a huge win on Saturday over the Dallas Hoyas. It's not a conference win per se, but you talk about NABL bragging rights on the line. Plus, the Hoyas point guard Bruce Barron had his Carbondale homecoming a little bit spoiled by you guys. Talk about the game overall and the Big Pharaohs win.
I think this game was talked about when it was scheduled, to be honest with you. We obviously knew that we had a guy, Dallas had a guy that's a hometown hero, of course, in Bruce Barron, and Bruce is I think he's just a great guy. Of course, he's Justin Benton's brother. Him coming back to Carbondale was huge, and so a lot of times, you have that situation, everybody's going to want to come out and see, a person they ain't seen in a while. So, for us, we took that challenge as any challenge, of course, and we didn't settle on just one person or one team for the weekend. We always, one game at a time, and that's how we approach it. But with this one, it was just a little different. Everybody kind of say, okay, the Hoyas lost championship last year, so they're hungry. And so got to be just as hungry as they are. And I think really everybody, when it came to that game, they were just so fired up and just ready to accept the challenge because the Hoyas are a good team. I think Paul Park does a great job with them. I finally got a chance to meet Paul, and we really had some good words to talk about some things. And I told him, obviously, we're looking forward to playing them again, and because we always want a challenge. That's what I think. If you're in the game, you want that challenge and so forth. So that game right there kind of really, hopefully, set us up there. Say maybe, hey, we're some team to be reckoned with.
Well, it could be a preview of one of the matchups we see in the NABL Final Four during the championship series in Atlanta. Just saying, it's still early in the season. Coach Jeff Mallory, thank you so much for the time today. Congratulations on all the success and going forward with the Southern Illinois Pharaohs.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it much, Ken. And like I said, we always say, it's always a Pharaohs mentality.
Very good. Appreciate it, Coach. Appreciate the time. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right. Now, Bruce Barron, on the other hand, for the Hoyas, well, he was handcuffed to only 10 points in this Hoyas loss. But he did have this to say to Southern Illinois' newspaper, The Southern. Check this out. Quote Bruce Barron, "They're tough. They're pretty good. They remind me of the Atlanta Show. They won the championship last year, of course, in the league. They remind me a lot of them as far as being strong, playing together, and just having fun. They're putting some things together that's special. So I like people supporting my brother. How about that? Brotherly support. That's a good thing." End quote. Well, show the kittens. Aww. Yeah, brotherly love may have triumphed in this one. But the Hoyas fell for back-to-back weeks. How about that? Lucky for them, though, this was a non-conference matchup. By the way, you can read that entire article from the Southern. You can catch it online, NABLbasketball.com. It's right there. Now, day 2 of the showcase brought the Music City Kings to the court. And again, against the Hoyas. The Hoyas attempting to right the ship after this one. Now, I hate to say it. There's no better team for them to try and pivot their fortunes against than the Kings, who I love, but who still have yet to notch a win in the NABL since their creation a year ago. Prayers, everybody. Okay. Well, the basketball deities did not shine upon the team from Nashville, sadly. Instead, the Hoyas get back on track with a 106-97 victory over Music City. They head back to Big D with a non-conference split over the weekend, and now at 3-2 overall on the year, but still 2-1, that's more importantly, within the West. Now the Kings, 0-5 overall, 0-4 in the East, show the hands again. Yes. Music City. Hey, it's going to happen someday. Someday soon. Now, for the NABL's conference matchups. These are the ones that matter in the playoff standings. And our first rematch in the Western Conference. In week number 1, tip-off weekend in the NABL, you may remember of this 2017 season, the San Antonio Lions welcomed in the expansion Alamo City Aztecs to the league with a veritable basketball wedgie. Something like that, yeah. A 155-122 throttling in that game. Now, last week on the BackCourt, when we were previewing this game, I clairvoyantly predicted that, while yes, I still had San Antonio as the favorite in this rematch, I knew this one was going to be closer. I mean, after all, the Aztecs, they've reeled off 2 back-to-back wins. The upset over Dallas, as we mentioned, and the manhandling of the Texas Wolverines. The Aztecs, simply put, a much better team at this point. But, as so widely foreseen, it was the Lions' day yet again. And this time, it was closer. The Aztecs did fall, though, to their inner city rival, 128-109. I'm telling you right now, watch out for the Lions. Okay, fans? I'm just saying. Now, in the NABL West Coast Division, the far west, one game had 2 teams looking to scrape back into that shadow casted by the conference-leading Kitsap Admirals. Now, while the Admirals are undefeated, and they were actually on a bye this past week, the Quad City Flames in the SB battle, hey, they needed to start putting some of those W's in their columns, okay? Certainly, as luck would have it, one of those teams did. I mean, it's just the way it goes. Some teams got to win, some team has to lose. It's funny how that works, right? Well, in a prediction that I did not get correct. Thanks. Quad City, the Flames, take down the battle in this one. They don't just do it. They do it with room to spare. 121-93. Now, Quad City, you talk about being on fire. They were led by guard Will Causey, and Will's 45 points in this matchup. Add to it 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. So let's head up to Quad City right now, way up there, and the Seattle, Washington area, as Will joins us here on the BackCourt. How are you, Will?
How you doing, Ken?
Doing fantastic, man. It was truly thy will be done in your matchup against the Battle. 45 points, man. Let's talk about that game.
Yeah, well, it's like, I say it's like a lot of kind of like history behind the game, kind of, because when I didn't play them, you know, they was talking all the smack and stuff like that, you know. we kind of like didn't have all our pieces for one. So, yeah, they beat us by like 15 points when we had a good lead and stuff, and just got tired and stuff, no legs, anything, and they beat us. So, the coach was talking a little smack here and there, but I said, they got to come see us. Me and my teammate was like, they got to come see us. So, you know, we kind of took that, if you want to look at it, kind of offensive kind of way, I was like, okay, y'all got to come to our house now. So, we're going to see what's going on. And then they had a couple of guys I knew from the ABA days playing against them back in like 3 or 4 years ago that, okay, now I got to bring it. So, I mean, me being the older guy on the team at 44 years old and still playing at a high level.
How about that?
Like that. Yeah, so, I mean, it was good. It was good for my teammates to, you know, feed me and stuff. I was a hot man on the team that night.
Well, you kind of addressed it right there. The 4-team West Coast Conference of the NABL, it's one of the more interesting dynamics in the entire league. First of all, though all 4 of the teams are new to the NABL, you guys are no strangers to one another, whether it's, you know, the players on the other team, but you guys have been battling team against team for several years and seasons now.
Yeah. Yeah, Kitsap, Vancouver. Lakewood's not in there yet, but they will be next year from what I hear. A couple of teams in the surrounding areas might be getting in that we used to play, but yeah, ABA, we played each other all the time. IBL, we played each other all the time too. So it's been going on pretty much about 10 years now. So wow. We pretty much know each other pretty good.
And now it's all happening within the NABL ranks, so even better. Now, it's likely just the way it seems, because Kitsap right now is sitting at the top of the division, but they've only played 2 games. They're 2-0, undefeated just because of that. Now, it's likely going to come down to the final weekend. One game will decide this conference and who moves on to the Atlanta NABL Championship Series. I mean, describe just how tight the competition is within the West Coast Conference.
I mean, it's real tight. I mean, real tight and tough. I mean, you got to bring it every time you play the team. You can't take nobody for granted. Like, you got to play. If not, you're going to get blown out. So you got to bring your A game at every game. We always tell, I mean, us and the other vets on the team always talk to the young guys on the team. Like, bring it every game you have. Every chance you get, every minute you get on the court, bring it. Because you can't let your guard down for one time, like 1 minute.
Yeah, it's just, man, it's just a big old, everybody's right there, a mosh pit between you 4 teams and beating up on each other and who's left standing at the end. It really is how this conference is going to go.
It is pretty much. Coach, we had practice on Tuesday. Coach talked about it and everything. And I went to his house yesterday and was talking to him about stuff, and he was saying the same thing pretty much.
We'll talk about your impressions of the North American Basketball League. The first year the Quad City Flames has been in it, and the first year you've been in. So far, what are your impressions of the NABL?
It's actually, I actually like it. It's like the people is pretty much knowing what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's like they actually got their stuff together in the NABL. Like, it's like ABA is a different ball game, but that's like something that. You have some people that want to know, that act like they know what they're doing, but don't know what they're doing. That's the reason why I stopped playing ABA. It's just like more constructed than anything else. Like, we didn't have all this when I played ABL. IBL was pretty much like this when it started out, but then it went downhill from there. But that's the reason why one of the reasons why I actually wanted to do this year. But I did play with Tacoma. Tacoma was one of the teams I played with last year.
Oh.
Yeah, so they kind of like they grudge against me on that too. We had a couple of guys actually that played with Tacoma last year. So I mean, Doc Stansel, our coach, he's retired Army. I mean, he retired Air Force, like I'm retired Army.
Yeah.
So we both. I mean, I've been knowing him since the military. I played against him in the military too. So I mean, I've been knowing him for a long time. But the NABL is very more constructed and everything. I like it, and I wouldn't change to go nowhere else no time soon to play in another league.
Very, very good. Well, we're happy to have you and certainly your team, the Quad City Flames, and all the 4 teams in the West Coast Conference. And like you said, we're going to be adding to that even in 2018. All right, well, you talked about the Tacoma Thunder. You play them this week. I mean, what do the Flames need to do to move to that plus 500 mark as far as the standings go?
When we played them the last time, not let our guards down. We let our guards down with like the last maybe like 4 minutes of the game where they came back and almost actually won the game. Like, so we just got to keep our foot on the gas. If we got a lead, keep it on the gas, keep going, and don't let up.
Well, very good. It goes down this weekend once again. Another big battle in the Great White North up there in the upper Northwest, man, bringing some heat to the cooler areas of the North American Basketball League. And, man, 45 points, Will Causey of the Quad City Flames. Congratulations, one of our Week 5 players of the week, Will.
All right, thank you, Ken.
All right. Okay, here we go to the NABL Eastern Conference in its 2 divisions and the picturesque postcard city that is Savannah, Georgia. Love that place. Where the Cavaliers have just tried to get their love back on, get their season back on track, for crying out loud. Of course, they could have had a better opponent to perform such an action because in comes the blitzkrieging Birmingham Vulcans. Now, Savannah, who has yet to find a victory in 2017, again, this coming after 2016, where they were a Final Four team in the NABL last year. They're still left standing, staring longingly into that Atlantic Ocean, hoping that their W is somewhere out there. They should turn around because all the other teams are back behind them. Anyway, the Vulcans just come in and do what they do, go about their way, take care of business, and win over the Cavs 116-99. Birmingham. Boom. Rebound City. Watch out. Now, not to be outdone were the Eastern's Southern Division leading Capital City Cardinals, who invited the Huntsville Force into their North Carolina backyard in Week 5. Now, Huntsville, gotta love them. They have proved to be anything but an easy out in this season, okay? Though their record hasn't really shown it, the Force has given fits to really any and all who have played him so far. And this one was no different whatsoever, as the Cards needed every bit of Shawan Robinson's 33 points to clinch this victory, as Cap City takes down Huntsville in a 110-106 squeaker. So the Cards just keep flying throughout the East Coast Division. It's the best our art department can do, really. Bring that up again. Seriously? Is it supposed to be a cardinal? Is it edible even? I don't know. Okay. So, here's the thing. You're now all caught up while we work on this thing. You're all caught up on the week that was in the first quarter portion of the NABL season. Now it is time for this week's big time performers, the NABL Players of the Week. All right, now it's just the way it is. Some weeks are just too big to keep only 2 players in the distinction of Players of the Week. So, for the second time already this season, we have 3 NABL performers and Players of the Week. How about that? And we start with that big Capital City win over Huntsville and the aforementioned Cardinals, Shawan Robinson. 33 points put him in as one of our star performers in week number 5. And with the massive 45-put output poured on by Quad City's Will Causey, well, that has certainly caused the NABL front office and awards committee enough to name Will as not only our top scorer of the week throughout the league in the NABL, but our second player of the week in week 5. And last but certainly not least, let's head back up to Carbondale, Illinois, and Southern Illinois' the Pharaoh guard, Devin Balkman. Devin, who against the Hoyas scored 23 points, but added to it a very quality stat line. An assist, 2 steals, and 7 rebounds. Devin Balkman, man, welcome, Devin, to the backcourt, buddy.
Hey, how you doing?
Good to have you on. Now, let's just jump right in because we talked to your coach here just a little while ago, but you give us your assessment and replay of that matchup against the Hoyas in that showcase.
I think it was a really pretty hype game, very competitive. We've been watching film on them a lot since the beginning of the week. I think it was a very intense game, and, a lot of the fans came out and showed love and support. And Bruce, Justin brother coming down, so it brought a lot of also. So it was really fun.
Now let's talk about, because it seems like it's been a pretty fun season already so far in 2017. First year as a franchise, first year in the NABL, but you're 4-0 league-wide right now and making a strong case in this first quarter of the season to be there at the end in Atlanta for the NABL Championship Series. Talk about the team chemistry within the Pharaohs and just what's made this thing click.
I think we have a lot of guys who's very unselfish. We have some great point guards who don't mind making that extra pass. And I think it took us time at first. Everybody can know each other and come from different spots and play on different teams. But I think everybody got a good feel to have a basketball, have a great IQ about it. So I think as days go by and we consistently practice more, I think it's getting really, really good and consistent for all of us. And, everybody's sharing the ball. So I think everybody's playing for one another like a family, a unit.
Well, you got a lot of talent on that team, and you got a lot of talent on the bench as well, too. It always seems like there's somebody that always seems to step up when is needed when it's the Pharaohs. But, man, you're averaging 20 points a game already this season. So you're providing that consistent catalyst and spark for the Pharaohs. And then there's always somebody else, like 2 or 3 other of your teammates just on the floor at any time that can get it done.
Yeah, most every any night we can have someone who can score 20 plus. There's a lot of guys who's very talented and very versatile. But yeah, I just think it comes from us at practice going at each other, being competitive, and everybody's being on one another. So that's what we think it boils down to.
Now, when it comes to the Pharaohs as an organization and a franchise, Justin Dentman, who we've referenced, is the team owner, and really Aaron Lee is the general manager, and your coach Jeff Mallory, of course. Everybody seems to have a concerted, focused effort on this team, and you're doing a lot within the community as well, too, not just on the court.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it took a lot of time, and Justin was been trying to do this for I think a couple of years back then, and they've been talking about it, so they finally got it all together. Everybody's been putting their 100%, 110% in this organization, so I think they're doing a pretty good job. It's his first year, so it looks really good on his resume. The team being undefeated and Coach Mallory coming in, and he had the right staff in the system to work with us players. So I think it just all starts down from the tee, from Justin.
Now, your impressions of being in the NABL, the North American Basketball League. As a player, what does it mean to you, and what have you seen as far as the league goes?
It means a lot. It's opportunity for me and other guys. I think it's something new for me, playing other guys from different states and, getting to meet new people. And, you got people from different locations and something new for me. And you got different rules. You got the NBA rules and NBA 3-point line. So I think it's a great experience for me and, a life lesson as a basketball player. So, yeah, I think it's really cool, though.
Well, and then finally you have the Huntsville Force once again coming up this week. You guys go on the road, a fairly lengthy road trip down to Huntsville, Alabama. What do you need on this weekend to come out with a W against the Force?
I think we most definitely we need to rebound and box out, because everything else gonna come, because we got a lot of guys who plays hard and who just want to win, who sacrifice themselves for the team. So I think we just come down there with a lot of energy and we play with what Coach wants us to do. We should be perfect. We should be fine.
Very good, man. Well, 23 points in the win over the Hoyas, my friend, including NABL bragging rights over the defending Western Conference champions from last year. 4-0 undefeated on the season. It's been successful so far. Much success continued. And congratulations, NABL Week 5 Player of the Week, Devin Balkman.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate the time, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, I'm good.
And congrats to them all. Now that a little dust has settled in the league.
The road to the NABL Championship Series. NABL Standings Update.
Let's update those standings. On the NABL Eastern Conference front, the Northern Division, the Southern Illinois Pharaohs are on a mission at 3-0 within the conference, 4-0 overall on the season. They lead the division, but are on a bye week coming up. Now, right on their tails again, the Vulcans sit at 4-1. All of those 5 games, by the way, came within the conference. So the Force then follow up at 2-3, and the Music City Kings 0-4 with 0-5 overall. We're still praying. Thank you. In the Southern Division of the Eastern Conference, the Atlanta Show sits at 3-0, but they lose their top ranking in the top spot because only they were idle this past week. But they play 2 big games coming up. Now, instead, the Capital City Cardinals find themselves at the top of the Eastern Southern Division and at 4-1. By the way, those two face off each other this Sunday. We'll talk about it coming up. You got Panama City and the Piranhas at 1-3 after that, and the Savannah Cavaliers rounding things out at 0-4. The West Coast Conference shifts things up a bit, but the Kitsap Admirals still lead the way at 2-0. Now Quad City, that win over the Battle, they now have the Flames in second place at 2-2, with the Tacoma Thunder and the SB Battle both at 1-2. To the West! Still a bit bundled altogether. It's a pity, but that'll work itself out. But the DFW United have a grip on the top spot, tenuous at best, sitting at 3-1. They have to share that ranking, though, with the 3-1 San Antonio Lions, who is in third place in the Western Conference. The Hoyas, 3-2 overall, as we said, in the NABL, but 2-1 within the West Conference. And that is followed by the 0-2 Knights and the 0-4 Wolverines, who come up to play a week from Saturday. Speaking of week number 6, though, in the NABL.
NABL Week Preview.
See how this all ties together on the backcourt. Remember to see it all as it happens this weekend, live at NABLbasketball.com. We stream every NABL game live, so you don't miss a thing. You see your favorite player, your favorite team in action, even if they're across the country on the road, or if you don't want to get off the couch. But that's incredibly silly, because if you can be at the game, we'll be there. Come on. Do you need help? I'll help you up off the couch. Ticket info online at NABLbasketball.com. Just click on schedule, just like above my head. Let me know if you need that help getting up, though. I'm here for you. All games this week 6 are conference games, which makes it cool. And as we kick off the second quarter of this 2017 NABL season, a lot right on these things. So, to the East and its Northern Division. A big old battle going down in Bama. Yeah, baby. As the 2-3 Huntsville Force tangle with those in-state rivals of theirs, the 4-1 Birmingham Vulcans. Now, the Vulcans, whose only loss is to undefeated Atlanta this season, and that by only a single bucket, if you remember that game a couple of weeks ago. Well, the Vulcans look to continue their demolition course of the East, but leave it to the Force to try and spoil things up. I mean, if the Force win, it would bring them back to 500 on the season and right back into this thing, baby. But if the Vulcans hold form, well, they're looking to run away, possibly, with this division. This is going to be a good one, and it's going to go down in the Deep South for sure. Likewise, this Saturday, those Perfect Atlanta show we keep talking about, they play their first of a weekend doubleheader starting Saturday against the Savannah Cavaliers. Now, the show opened their doors to Savannah, and though the Cavaliers are at 0-4, they got excited, Dennis Green and company, for a minute. I almost messed up. Well, last year's records between these two, regardless, didn't matter. These games were close. They were hard fought. They came down to buzzer beaters at points. Yes, I'm using a sports cliche, but it should be a great one. Saturday as well, the North and South of the East, now they face off as the Capital City Cardinals look to jump to 5-1 when they entertain the Music City Kings on their home court. But the Kings, you never know when that first one's going to come, okay? I mean, it would only be fitting and fit right into the whole unpredictability of the NABL for it to come this Saturday. We pray for you, Kings. Just saying. And Sunday, those same Capital City Cards, they have a doubleheader weekend. They travel to Hotlanta for maybe the showdown of the weekend in the NABL in our NABL TV Game of the Week coming up this Wednesday night, May 10th, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. The 4-1 as it stands now going into the weekend. Cardinals take on the 3-0 as it stands now going into the weekend. Parentheses. Atlanta show. The Cards and the show. You can see this game once again live. NABL TV, NABLbasketball.com. Wednesday night coming up, May 10th, 7 p.m. Central, 8 Eastern. A game that will likely go a long way deciding who ends up with the lead in the NABL Eastern Southern Division. Cannot wait for this one. All right, let's go to the West. Let's do it. The Dallas Hoyas, they're back at it, and this time for games that count inside the conference. And more importantly for them, they are back on home court as the Hoyas take on the hot San Antonio Lions. Now, the Lions, 3-1 in the West, have the edge in the standings over the 2-1 in conference Hoyas. But just telling you right now, home cooking has always proved to be the cure for whatever seems to ail the Hoyas in the past. Stay tuned for our predictions coming up. And now to the West, farther west, the West Coast Conference. Yeah, the Quad City Flames, fresh off their pounding of the SB Battle, and at 2-2 now, they hope to gain the second spot in the conference and a bigger step closer to Kitsap, but they're going to have to do it against a very tough Tacoma Thunder team coming in at 1-2 on the year. It's a bit topsy-turvy as far as the world in the West Coast goes, and with a win, the Thunder then would move up themselves. I mean, things are thick out there, as we've said, in the Northwest. And for our analysis now of who will take the W's and suffer the L's in these matchup, well, it's dramatic pause time. It's time for KB's picks. Yeah, we went 5-1 last week on KB's picks, so yeah, well, maybe. But with a hot hand, let's keep going. Here are our picks for week number 6. We start with Saturday's showdown, the Force and the Vulcans, though the fact that it's two in-state rivalries squaring off throws this one into sports cliche time. Yeah, and you never know. Hey, the way the Vulcans are just thrashing their way through the East this season, I pick, and I would be silly not to, pick the Birmingham Vulcans over the Huntsville Force in the battle for Bama. Also, another in-state rivalry this weekend as two old friends that are the Show and the Cavs meet up in Atlanta. And with home court on their side and perfection still, well, perfect, the Show, I think, will down Savannah on Saturday. To Raleigh, North Carolina, as the Capital City Cardinals look to move in step with Atlanta as they face the little team that could, the Music City Kings. And why the Kings have yet to register a W, I cannot tell you. That I cannot predict or even look back on and past predict. That would be analyze. But anyway, I don't think they're going to this time either, even though, I'm taking the Cards over the Kings. Sorry. Now, this is where I become only slightly clueless. Seriously, though. You tell me. As the Cardinals on Sunday travel southbound I-85 into Atlanta in a battle for Eastern Conference supremacy, something's got to give, all right? And for Atlanta to stay perfect, I mean, they're going to have to play that way in this one. I've picked the Show in the past. I've picked against them in the past. And when I pick against them, obviously, it's bit me, as it has bit every other team that they've ever played on the court. So, using these, here's how I figure this out. Using these two teams' records against common opponents, okay? The margin of victory in those matchups favors Atlanta, with most of their wins coming on the road so far this season. So, using math as my guide, I'm going with the home team, Atlanta, to beat the Cardinals in this NABL TV Game of the Week. That's based on math, okay? Logic. Because as we say on this show, if we're anything on the backcourt, well, we're educational. It's true. I'll just jump to the West Coast Conference now and try my hand at this one, at the Thunder against the Flames, okay? Now, the Thunder have come up short in a few games this season that they were very much into the last moments of the game, but it looks like the Flames, looks like they are in a bit of a hot streak right now after their big win last week over the Battle. And because momentum is on their side, I guess momentum would not be math, that would be science or physics, which is a type of science. I'm overthinking this. All I need to tell you is, give me Quad City and the Flames over the Thunder. And then finally, the Western Conference matchup this week has the Dallas Hoyas playing host to the San Antonio Lions. Now, Dallas, who's already lost, it's well documented twice this season, sits at 3-2 overall, 2-1 within the West Conference. San Antonio 3-1 within the West. So, in a game that will remove one of those teams from the top spot in the conference standings, I go on history to decide this one. How about that? Math, physics, science, history. Who says you don't learn on this show? Exactly. It's a public service announcement, the backcourt is. San Antonio, they're a beast when they are at home. In fact, they beat Dallas last year in San Antonio. But the Lions are on the road in this one, where they do not fare nearly as well, regardless of who they play. They already have one road loss. In fact, their only loss of the year was against the Warriors all the way in Eastern Louisiana and Miss Lou. Dallas is excellent on their home court. So, just because we are students of history on the backcourt, yes, give me the Hoyas over the Lions. Of course, what do I know? What do I know? What, no clever graphic? Oh, thank you. Thank you. You tell me what you think. Who is going to win? Just how wrong am I? And how bad have I slighted your favorite NABL team? Well, email me right here, Ken Buckner at NABLbasketball.com, or just right here, over there on the BackCourt page at NABLbasketball.com. You give me your thoughts. I would love to read them, and I might just do that next week here on the BackCourt. So, that just about does it. Get ready for week number 6 coming up very soon. And remember, you can watch every game live Saturday and Sunday on the online home of the North American Basketball League, streaming it live at NABLbasketball.com. And our big NABL TV game of the week, the Capital City Cardinals visiting the Atlanta Show, the battle for the Eastern Conference Southern Division, Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. East Coast time, which is where these teams are, just in case you want to watch it. That'll all go down NABL TV. Check your local listings or just see it here at NABLbasketball.com. A big, huge thanks once again to all of our guests who are gracious enough to visit us and get ready. Actually, I think some of them had like TV makeup on here on the BackCourt this week. We'll have more next week, tons more news. Find out more. Keep it here on the online home of the NABL, NABLbasketball.com. I'm Ken Buckner. You're not. We'll catch you next week here on the BackCourt on NABL Network.